Complaining about battery life is rife in the tech industry these days as manufacturers crank out high-end smartphones with power-thirsty features. Chances are the phone you're using right now struggles to get through a single day of battery life. Well, geekbuying.com sent us a phone unlike anything else I have ever laid my hands on. It's called the Blackview BV9500, a smartphone that packs a whopping 10,000 milliamp hour battery, and the rest of the phone isn't that bad either. So as you can see here, this is a rugged phone with a thick metal and rubber frame that should be able to take a beating and survive being submerged in up to 1.5 meters of water for up to 30 minutes, thanks to its IP68 water resistance rating. Now, considering just how big of a battery is inside this phone, it's not excessively thick, at least in my opinion, coming in at 18.7 millimeters thick. I mean, it is a big phone, don't get me wrong, but it's roughly the depth of two Galaxy S9s stacked on top of each other. The battery life should be able to easily last you for several days depending on how much you use your phone. There's even wireless charging, allowing you to pop it on a Qi wireless charging pad before you go to bed. You won't have to worry about any cable. But Blackview does more than just add a massive battery to appeal to users. There's an FHD Plus resolution IPS display that gets nice and bright. The downside with this display in 2019 is the thick bezels. The display and the thick bezels definitely date this phone, but this phone is designed to be rugged, unlike many of the flagship smartphones we have today. There is a microSD card slot for expandable storage, dual SIM card slots, and a USB-C port. It does have a Helio P23 processor with 4 gigs of RAM, but it appears to run fairly well overall. Don't expect anything too much, but don't underestimate the phone either. It's a mid-range performer. The downside is that the software will need some tweaking if you're an Android purist like I am. You have square icons and the settings drawer is not great. But surprisingly, many of the apps are stock and you do get a ton of tools like a compass. Ooh, fancy. The phone runs Android 8.1 Oreo, which isn't that old of an operating system, but the skinned icons and green and black icons and color schemes seriously date this phone, at least in my opinion. Thankfully, this is Android and you can customize the look to a good degree, and I imagine most people will find the other benefits outweigh this con. Now, you do have a physical shortcut button that can be programmed to open up an app of your choice. There's also a speed boost mode that will improve the performance of the foreground app while limiting the number of background apps you have open. And construction workers will be happy to hear that there's also a dedicated push to talk button. All you need is a compatible app for the service to work. There's a 16 megapixel main camera sensor with a 0.3 megapixel sensor for enabling portrait mode or bokeh effects. Unfortunately, the bokeh mode is garbage and most of the photos captured from these sensors won't be much better. You can capture some decent photos in well-lit environments, but this phone isn't going to be known for its camera performance. So prior to actually using this phone, I did some research and it seemed like the phone wasn't compatible with carriers here in the United States, even GSM carriers like T-Mobile and AT&T. However, I unscrewed the SIM card slot, popped my T-Mobile SIM card in there, and I got a 4G connection. I was able to make calls, browse the web without really any issues. I will say though that the call quality wasn't the greatest. I could hear people just fine on my end, but other people said that I sounded a little bit muffled, tinny, just low quality overall. But hey, it kind of makes sense given how rugged this phone is. The microphones probably aren't that great. So as of making this video, the Blackview BV9500 5.7-inch smartphone is on sale right now for $300. If you are a construction worker, a power-thirsty user, or someone who just seems like they're always cracking their smartphone display or breaking their smartphone, you might want to check out the Blackview 9500. I'll place a link in the description to check it out via geekbuying.com. With that said, I'm BoHD from PhoneDog.com. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you right back here in the next one. See ya.